Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast. This is your escape for real, unscripted conversations about sports, hobbies, life, and storytelling. No scripts, no forced takes, just Man Cave talk. Now, here's your host, Dan Casper.
It is Wednesday, which is one of my favorite days of the week because it usually means that we get to talk with Ty from Slab Factory, who is off of the first annual, I know that bugs people when I say it, but I like saying it, first ever Packs and Pints at the Brewing Projekt this Sunday. I was talking a little bit off the air with you. When we were there for a while, it seemed like a really good success, a lot of constant, action with people flowing in. It was cool to see a lot of kids bringing their binders and carrying. When we pulled in the parking lot, I seen a couple kids. There was actually one really old school looking binder, which was kind of cool to see. Yeah. But it was great to see all those kids in action. It was adults, kids, whatever it may be. How did the event go overall from your point of view?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you. Like, it was so fun. We had a great time. Our team had an awesome time. The main goal of this show, because there's a lot of card shows out there, and I'm not saying we even did anything that unique, but the main goal of this show was like get kids there, get kids feeling comfortable around the hobby. That was really what we wanted, and we saw so many more kids than we even thought we'd see. I mean, we also had at the card shop, we see plenty of kids come in, obviously. But, our main demographic of people buying and selling cards is like 20 to 35 probably, in terms of age group. And but it was so many more kids that we had not seen at the shop before, so many families, folks who learned either about us for the first time or were just getting more comfortable. And we were able to have a lot of great conversations with those folks and help them feel a little bit more comfortable around the collecting hobby. And it certainly reached our expectations and exceeded them for sure. There was
a couple things that I really liked about what you guys did. One, the bingo card to get the kids active and interactive with other booths, and that was really cool. I also like seeing some of your guys' personal collections that were on the tables.
Yeah,
and, that was cool. Hudson was eyeing up the Cheerio rainbow that you had over there, but seeing some of that was kind of cool too, just to see, okay, these are the guys at Slab Factory, and this is their PCs, this is their personal collections too.
Yeah, and it was fun for the guys too, because for example, CJ, our resident Pokemon expert, our manager over there, he was like, this collection hasn't seen the light of day. Like it, normally sits in the display case in his basement. So he was excited to have it out there too, and. We wanted to show off that we're collectors too, and Jordan from the shop has an unbelievable Badgers collection. He had so many cool, which by the way, he's trying to add some more Melvin Gordons this week. A guy walked into the Madison store this week with a bunch of Melvin Gordon one-of-ones. So
nice.
Yeah, he said he's working for free this week. No, but the. Between his Badger stuff, Joey from the shop has a really incredible Timberwolves collection. And then I had some of my Brewers stuff out, some of my Bucks stuff out, and CJ with his Pokemon. Yeah, we wanted to display our personal collections as well to help people understand, this is what we're doing too. This is how we got started. A lot of the cards in those cases were things that we all had before Slab Factory even existed. But yeah, and the bingo card, shout out Joey, great job. Joey's a marketing student at UW Eau Claire and works for the shop, and he's been kind of doing some marketing stuff for us. This was his idea, and he did a great job executing it. A great bingo card that had kids going from booth to booth, answering questions and asking them to take pictures with them or open a pack with them or do a trade with them. I thought that went, it was great. It was what we hoped, and so much so that we do intend on doing one in the winter. So we're going to do one probably just in the winter and summer every year is kind of what we're looking at.
That was awesome, especially for my kid who's really quiet, to actually get him to go out there and he's not the biggest Pokemon he used to be, but he's like, because I'm like, I don't know if you're going to find, like a Pikachu It's like, Dad, there's one right over there. And he pointed out the box and all that stuff. So that was really cool. So
he knows what he's talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was really fun. And thanks for coming out. You you had the whole family out. It was great to see.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, speaking of PC, you want to show off what you got? Because I'm a little jealous of this right now.
So we talked about this back when this product released.
Yep.
I had not owned one of these yet until just recently here. And I did grab a Matthew Golden Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah.
This card, this one in particular, probably not one that I would send off to get graded because a little whitening on the back right corner, but something that I'll just kind of keep in the personal collection. I think Matthew Golden's set to have a big year, personally. I mean, I think a lot of people are feeling the same way about him right now.
Right. So, I mean, with that too, and I know you've kind of talked about too, is it kind of almost like a stock market sort of thing with some players rising and you kind of, maybe purchase with the expectation that the prices are going to be good or the value is going to be good? Yeah,
I play that game less and less because, well, for what it's worth, I mean, I would dive too deep into that with basketball early in my collecting days. I'd be right about a guy, but it wouldn't necessarily affect his market that much unless he's a superstar, right?
Yep.
So, like, if you were somebody who, back in the early days of Giannis and Antetokounmpo, his cards were pretty cheap when he came out, and you did pretty well if you collected him then.
Yeah.
It's hard to find those superstars that did not come into the league as superstars, right? Those are hard to find. Now, you can find players that are selling beneath their station, but some of these guys don't ever become like a superstar, and that's really where the market shift is. So that said, Matthew Golden right now, while not super cheap because he still was a first round pick and he's got hype surrounding him, his stuff is pretty cheap after a down year last year. His stuff is cheaper than Luther Burden's stuff right now. And I wouldn't be remotely surprised if Matthew Golden has a better season than Luther Burden. Buying Matthew Golden right now is certainly not a bad idea if you believe in him as a Packer this year.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. I got to ask this too, because I saw this last week and I think this is speaking of, it kind of relates to that, but did you see the Rushmore inserts from Top Baseball?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
What are your thoughts on that?
What did you think of them?
I thought they looked cool. Because in sports we always talk about Mount Rushmores, right? And the fact that I saw the Braves one. I think was the first.
The Braves one is the one I saw too. That's what Topps posted, and I'll tell you, you probably gravitate toward that as a sports radio. That is a great sports
history
radio
sort of
topic,
thing.
right? Like what's the Mount Rushmore of blank? All I saw in the comments was Acuna on the Mount Rushmore Braves. No way.
It's
stuff
the
like
debate
that.
part.
It's the debate, which actually that's what they're doing, right? I think it's fun. I think it's really fun. I think having the debate is always fun. And so cards that spark the debate. Yeah, sure. Why not? I don't remember who exactly was on it. Was it Chipper, Smoltz?
Hank Aaron and Ronald Acuna.
Okay. Was it Smoltz? Yeah.
Or Maddox.
Oh, Maddox.
Yep.
Maddox. So not Smoltz. Yeah, it's it's all era based, right?
Yep. That's why I was reading.
You really can't argue Hank Aaron,
yeah,
and you probably can't argue Chipper Jones. And I feel like after that, I know that Maddox obviously was incredible, but you could make some arguments for
Eddie
few different
Matthews.
guys. Yeah, Eddie Matthews probably should have been up there.
Yeah. But it's kind of a cool looking card.
And that's coming out in the what is that coming out in? Topps. I can't remember the next product that's out. I think it's the flagship update, the regular update. I'd have to double check, but that looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Topps Pristine Baseball. Inserts in Topps Pristine Baseball.
That's in Pristine.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Actually, I like Pristine a lot. Pristine is a hobby-only product.
Okay.
But the cards will trickle in as singles, so there will certainly, we'll see those Mount Rushmores for sure.
Right. One question I wanted to ask you, because once in a while when I'm scrolling on social media, I'll see somebody opening up packs from back in the day. And there was one guy said he bought this from the Nationals in 96 or 2000 Upper Deck basketball. And he spent $20 on the pack.
Yeah.
Is that pretty normal with those prices of 20, 30 years ago with some of those packs to be worth? And maybe just chasing rookie cards at that point?
Yeah, you're probably just chasing rookies from whatever class that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, what's interesting too is that it really rarely pays off because a lot of these, what you're hoping for in these situations when you're opening an old pack, unless you're talking about like a 86 Fleer pack or something, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like, for example, I opened up some Topps Stadium Club from 1998 basketball. I found it for a good price, but like, let's say hypothetically that pack is worth like, you know what? Actually, I have a better example. There's like an upper deck set from Kobe's rookie year that's not particularly popular. Kobe's rookie in that set is just like a headshot portrait of him that the card raw is like $30 to $50. You're chasing Kobe and it's like a $15 to $20 pack. Mm-hmm. So the upside is really not there unless what they're looking for is a pack fresh pull where the card is clean and centered enough to potentially get a PSA 10. That's what they're really looking for.
Gotcha. So
or they just want to experience pulling a Kobe rookie.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my thought.
I think I can picture the Kobe card you're talking about too.
He's almost wearing like a fur jacket and like sunglasses. Yeah. It's a pretty common one.
So there was also a story that I saw because this was, I've been seeing, the Cooper Flags, 1/1 NBA debut patch autograph just been pulled in Rhode Island. And then I saw another one that it was the Olympic one was it LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry is still like out there?
Still out there. Like, yeah, there's a handful of big hits still out there. That's actually kind of a fun topic. Like the Steph Curry rookie superfractor. Still out there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. So like
somebody's just holding on to a box or it's in a pack somewhere.
So there's a lot of theories. A lot of people theorize that maybe that Steph Curry is sitting in someone's collection and they haven't said anything because they are buying up and sitting on all the sealed products or something, right? Maybe they pulled it and then they have now been, they bought up all the sealed product of that year, and now they're selling all those boxes. That's just a theory, right? Obviously. Some people think that maybe someone pulled it and it's just sitting in a closet somewhere, because back then Steph Curry was not, the big name that he is now. Right. And especially if it was like a kid who pulled it, there are plenty of collections out there where a kid pulled a card, they didn't know what they had and they just tossed it away. And, so it could be in a landfill somewhere. It's just we have absolutely no idea where this card is. You don't see it as much today because today breakers are ripping so much product that you are seeing most of the hits come out. Mm-hmm. Like who knows if this is something that the manufacturers are making sure doesn't happen through batching, right? Mm-hmm. We don't know. But I can tell you that kind of thing just does not happen anymore. That said, Tom Brady's Montreal Expos inscribed autograph, 12 of 50, still out there, has not yet been pulled. The Superfractor's been pulled, but people are looking for that 12 of 50 because that's the one that he inscribed. I think it says something like, if baseball doesn't work out, there's always football or something like that.
Something like that, yep.
There's also the Luka Doncic Prism Black Finite Rookie 1/1. Still out there. Has not yet been pulled. So there's a lot of those sort of treasures hidden, and there's more, but those are the big ones that pop into my mind.
Interesting. Speaking of which, got a quick question from a listener, if you're right. So this is from Charles. He's wondering, what would a box of 1989 NFL Draft unopened cards from Score worth roughly, do you think?
I would have to look it up. I can tell you that probably not a ton. I can tell you that like sealed product from that period of time was not. Now 89 Score though, is that Sanders and Aikman?
I think so, yeah.
So maybe a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more, but because a Barry Sanders PSA 10 does numbers, a Troy Aikman PSA 10 does numbers. So maybe a little bit more than what I was going to say, but like
Dion, I think
something I'd have to look up. I don't really want to, pop on the phone right now and sit and comp, but I can also always tell Dan after the show.
Mm-hmm. And I'll let you know, Charles, too.
Yeah.
Maybe that Tony Mandrich card might be where I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there you go. That's what you're looking for. No, and actually, that's a good point. Like it really just, it depends on what the chase is. What's the best card you can hit out of that box, right? Like the and I'm gonna get the year, but 89 Griffey, like I believe that's Griffey Jr. That's his rookie card. The 89 sets, depending on the set, do pretty well. 88, 90, 91, they don't have that rookie chase. So like that's where you tend to run into like box values and issues there.
You were mentioning a little bit off the air too was another topic with Topps.
Yeah, well, just the new Topps update that's been out. I don't know if anybody's been able to find it on the shelves. We couldn't even get our hands on retail this time, at least not early on. We're working on sourcing some, but it's been a very difficult product to get because of the popularity. But Topps Update Basketball has had the debut patches being pulled. You mentioned the Cooper flag was pulled in Rhode Island by a breaker. It's kind of a fun video because these breakers are clearly not like a massive operation, but like the guy who they pulled it for has been breaking with them for years and years, and he immediately called the breaker on the phone after he pulled it. It's pretty cool. But also, like, there are still plenty out there. I think that was the thing I wanted to say the most is some people are like, oh, the product's dead. You're telling me that just because, that one card was like, there's a Dylan Harper debut patch out there that has not been pulled yet that's going to go for $500,000 probably. So, like, if you're telling me that means it's no longer worth your time to open the product, then okay, sure, I guess. But, the Cooper flag being pulled is big. It was always going to get pulled within the first couple of weeks. There's just too much product being ripped. It'll probably slow down a little bit, but people are still looking for Dylan Harper. People are still looking for – there's so many cool things you can pull out of that product. The alter egos, the minions are in that product. It's just a very interesting, a very loaded product.
Saw the Juan Soto minion that was I mean, that's because that's going for – or is worth big bucks.
Yeah, I mean, all of those minions are worth. I mean, again, we talked about this after the release of Football Chrome, when that Jaden Daniels Kaiju sold for $13,000, and then the next one sold for like $5,000 or something like that.
Yep.
There's always that first one that's just way too inflated. The first Steph Curry minion, not numbered, so just a regular super short print, sold for $22,000.
Wow.
And I mean, it is super short printed and people love the minions and like it's a very unique card, but the next one sold for 13 or 12,000 and it's probably only going down from there. So, that post product release hype is really something.
Looking at, because it's so fun to look at, these polls and sometimes watch a break. Do you watch a lot of breaks with people when they do that? Like what does Ty do?
Yeah, I mean, I watch some, but that's usually after like the day of a product release.
Okay.
And it's really more educational for me.
Yeah.
I like to see what comes out. I also like to see what the hit rates look like. I like to see if if I'm watching a case break of a product, how many numbered cards are coming out, how many autographs are coming out, how many case hits are there in each case. I'm trying to learn so that I can inform the customer, right, more than anything else. I can tell you that like in a regular Topps Update hobby box, like only a few numbered cards out of the entire box, usually 3 or 4, and one autograph, and it's pretty tough hit rates. Not phenomenal hit rates, but then, I say that, but a kid pulled a Cooper flag auto from Topps Chrome Update hobby box at the Packs Pints show.
Wow.
He and his dad were opening product and they bought from us and pulled a Cooper flag.
That's awesome.
Which he had gotten a few hobby boxes at that point.
Yeah.
And so it was and it didn't look good before that. The hit rates are always tough, and that's the nature of overprinting right now.
Tell us a little bit about, because I don't think we've talked a lot about it, but and if you have X/Twitter, make sure you're following Ty at Slab Factory _Ty, your factory stacks, because sometimes when you post stuff on there, like the Shaq one the other night, I'm like, dude, it's got Diesel written. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
I was like, that's speaking to me.
Yeah. Well, that one I reposted. That was a buddy of mine posted that for sale. I honestly was kind of kicking that one around. That's so cool. I love that it was Magic and Lakers.
Yep.
So cool.
Yep.
So on Twitter or X, I still call it Twitter. I still call it Twitter.
I can't
break that. I do what's called stack sales. So hashtag factory stacks is what you're looking for. And what I'm doing is I'm posting cards that are either in the shop or stuff that I sourced outside of the shop, and I'm posting it for sale with a price tag. Over the course of a week, I am running this sale, so this one goes through Sunday. I post the card for sale. I put a price tag. You can either offer on the card in the comment below, or you can take the card at the posted price. If you offer, that offer will probably sit there, and if somebody decides they want to take it full, they can kind of supersede your offer. But if you just take it at full, that card belongs to you. And at the end of the sale, I send you an invoice through our Shopify system, and you pay and we ship and you get the cards. If you do it locally, obviously, come pick them up at the store. You can either pay in store or using that method. But I post, yesterday I did a baseball sale. The day before that was just NBA and NFL. Either today or tomorrow, we're going to post a bunch of low-end cards, and then following that, we're going to do like an NFL 2000s, 2010s. Anybody who's been in the shop lately knows we got a whole bunch of that stuff right now, so I'm going to post some of that stuff. But it helps reach a wider audience. I still have locals that jump in those sales as well. But it's really just reaching a wider audience with some of our stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely some cool cards that you post on there. I'm like, oh, do I do it? Do I do it? Do I do it? Like that Shaq one was like right there.
That one was pretty cool.
It was pretty sweet. So I got to ask, this is from essentially my kid because he keeps talking about it. And we've talked about him for a few times now, but Jesus Madej. Is this a guy that's, because you're starting to see, I think, more product of his coming out?
Yeah.
And that is
a lot of prospect stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's hot, but he's not as hot as some, top prospects can be. Like Connor Griffin was a little hotter when he was the top prospect in baseball, but I think that's because everyone was anticipating the call up.
Right.
Everyone knows that Madej is not getting called up this year.
Right.
So I think that, honestly, it's not even a terrible time, even with his price tags right now, to buy and then wait for the call up. His stuff will get a lot hotter when that buzz starts, whether that's next year during spring training. I don't know when his call up is expected to be. Some people think it's next year at the beginning of the year. Some people think it's going to be spring, or going to be like a late season call up next year. Some people think that he's not going to be up until 2028. I hope it's next year. I want to see him play in the bigs. Yep. He's electric. He's so fun. He's so good. So we'll see.
Cooper Pratt, too? Same kind of like now that he's in majors? Because this is a guy that, again, my 9-year-old is all about trying to collect, too.
Yeah, so. Hype, then dip on him, because like when you get the call up, the cards go up. When you start playing baseball, and unless you're just destroying the ball every day, the stuff kind of settles a little bit.
Yeah.
But even then, it's still a little bit higher right now because he's playing pretty well, but it's not, nearly as high as it was when the call-up happened. That's always the case. Right now, George Lombard stuff is through the roof, but that's because he got called up and he's immediately making highlight reel defensive plays, hitting home runs. Like he looks like the complete package, right? So if Madej is going to do something like that, then then it's going to work out just fine for him.
One more question from a listener, if you're good. They're just curious, why does it feel like the new product right now is more or worth more than maybe some older cards from back in the day, like a Hank Aaron, et cetera, et cetera?
Some are, some aren't. I've talked about this before, but like rarity is the biggest driver of value when it comes to older cards. But like current hype is usually more powerful because of how many people you're actually reaching who are actually watching the NBA, watching baseball, watching the NFL today, right? So like Shohei Ohtani, you might argue that Hank Aaron was the better player, deserves to be selling for more than Shohei Ohtani. Shohei's playing right now, and he's doing unbelievable stuff. He's in our faces all the time. It makes sense that his stuff is going to sell for more. But the rarest Hank Aaron cards are still selling really well because rarity drives this. So like with older cards, you were printing the heck out of everything. I don't know off the top of my head what a Hank Aaron, rookie PSA 10 does, but like because of when those cards came out, there's not that many PSA 10s because there's not that many that have held up in quality to the point that they would grade a PSA 10. So I would venture a guess that a Hank Aaron rookie PSA 10 is doing some really crazy numbers because it's rare, because you don't see it. Now, just his rookie card in general, there's a bunch of them out there. They're still worth a decent amount. I know they sell pretty well, but yeah, it all comes down to rarity when it comes to these vintage ones. That's why like the Honus Wagner is so big. Honus Wagner isn't necessarily the best baseball player of all time, but it's an iconic card that is rarely found, and you just you can't find them. They're not out there. So yeah.
Dumb question to follow that up and wrap this up. Is there a Babe Ruth Holy Grail card?
Yeah, I mean there's like the is it the Goody? Is that how you say it? Goudey.
Okay.
The Ruth Goody. Hold on. I'm gonna find a picture of that.
Because obviously Honus Wagner played before,
Yeah.
all that. So I was just kind of like, you never hear a whole lot about, or maybe from my perspective, I don't hear a whole lot about a
there's the
Ruth card.
1933.
Okay.
That is quite popular. I'm interested to know what that actually does go for. I don't have anything in front of me. But yeah, they sell for pretty, definitely, they're definitely up there. Looks like the last PSA 9 sold for $1.3 million.
Oh, okay. I got that.
So it does all right. Does all right.
Yeah.
Pocket change.
Right? Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I know it's not fun to do comping radio, but
No, that's
just wanted to find that real quick.
Curious.
Yeah, there's certainly
Okay.
yeah. There's a grail for all these guys.
Yeah.
For sure. And they vary in price tag and they, the popularity, but a guy like Hank Aaron certainly has staying power. It's just that it doesn't feel like that because you're not surrounded by his cards at all times. Shohei has a million cards to Hank Aaron's 50 that are worth collecting.
Right. Ty, good stuff as always,
Yeah.
man. Appreciate you stopping
Thanks
by.
for having me.
Congrats on a great event on Sunday.
Thank you. It was very fun. I'm glad you were able to come out and look for us we do trade nights, look for our postings on social media.
Yep.
Also just feel free to reach out if you have questions about like any potential events that you have thoughts on or ideas that you have. We'd love to hear them. So please don't hesitate to reach out to the shops.
I know we had one of our listeners, Jake from State Farm, asked last week, when is Ty going to be on? I'm going to get my boss to bring his 7 binders of cards in and get an opinion on them. So
always happy to take a look. Just bring them in. Honestly, bring them in anytime to the card shop and just say, I want Tyler to look at them. And when I am free, I will take a look at them. We do that all the time.
So there you go, Jake. You have to bring them down from Bloomer, for that. So,
all right.
But Ty, as always, love this. So
yeah.
Thanks for stopping by, buddy.
Thanks, Dan.